Welcome to Lesson 4 of Section 5 of the BJCP Tasting Exam Preparation course from the Brews Anonymous Homebrew Club. We are continuing our look at master level descriptions, and in Lesson 4, we're going to look at description level examples for flavor. So, to get started, the usual disclaimer, this episode in the series is not affiliated with, nor endorsed or checked by the BJCP, the AHA, or any other organizations discussed in any episode of this series. All right, we are continuing our look at master level descriptions, and now we're on to flavor. And in this lesson, we will look at bare minimum flavor description, certified level like flavor description, national level like flavor description, and of course, master level like flavor description. So let's get started. One thing I want to share to start off this lesson is a big thing that helped me in preparing for my exam was to remember that when evaluating flavor, use the intensity plus character rule. In that, we want to add an intensity to all these specific characteristics that we're commenting on. We're going to see the difference here real quick as we start with the bare minimum that completely ignores that idea. And we, again, are going to be judging the category 18B American Pale Ale in our example. So let's start here with the bare minimum for flavor, which reads, tastes like citra hops, bitterness is okay, malt is fine. So detailed, you can almost taste it, right? No, of course not. There is no intensity levels, and the descriptors, if you want to call them that, are far too vague, particularly okay and fine descriptors. That means so many different things per individual person if you ask them what they think is okay or fine. In fact, at this point now, I think it's no longer even appropriate to call these bare minimum examples. Let's call them minimal effort examples, because I don't see these examples getting you any points, except maybe 1 point because the section isn't blank, and that helps with your completeness, maybe. But I don't, and I guess in a sense, we're not describing a stout here. This is citra hops and bitterness and malt are characteristics of a pale ale. So we're in the world there, but this is not going to get you any sizable points for sure. Let's say I can say that, I think, with pretty much a sense of confidence. So now let's look at a certified level description that vastly improves just by adding that intensity plus character rule, along with a bit more in its description. Medium high grapefruit and pine hop flavor. Medium bitterness that is slightly harsh. Low bready malt. Now we're getting a real idea of what this beer might taste like, and adding some intensity really makes that experience come across far clearer. But of course, we can do better. So now let's take a look at a national level like description. Moderately high punchy grapefruit with pine hop flavors dominate. Moderate bitterness in the finish, leaving a light, harsh, lingering aftertaste. Low supporting malt character. We've adjusted our intensities a bit and added some more specific and descriptive terms to help invoke a sensory experience while reading our description. And like with aroma, we've added the relationship between the dominant hops and supporting malt character. We've also expanded on that harsh bitter character we're experiencing by specifying that it doesn't start until the finish and it lingers in the aftertaste. Again, a very good description and very achievable and very expressive of our experience, but we can still go up from there. So let's bump it up to the master-like level flavor description. Bold, assertive grapefruit peel and resinous pine hop flavors lead the palate. Medium-high firm bitterness on the tongue that provides a sharp, dry finish into a slight, harsh aftertaste. Low, grainy, sweet malt provided the necessary structure but doesn't compete. We've ramped up just about everything here as far as being incredibly specific on our intensity levels and flavor characters, including that unpleasant bitter aftertaste. We've also expanded our observation on the role that the malts play in this style, further showing our understanding of the style and the roles that the ingredients play in making this style what it is. Now, one thing I want to point out before wrapping up this lesson, you've probably noticed that the descriptors from aroma match the descriptors that we used in flavor, and that's not uncommon at all in many beer styles. You may have even seen the phrase same as aroma in flavor descriptions on score sheets or even in the BJCP style guidelines. I'll begrudgingly say that's acceptable to do on a competition score sheet. I think it's incredibly lazy, in my opinion, but acceptable. But do not do that on your exam. I said this very early on in this course. This exam is not a competition. This is different. This is your chance to show what you know and how well you understand these styles that you're judging. Don't take shortcuts. Write down all that you're tasting. In the same vein that we don't want to add things just to add them, we don't want to omit things to save time in writing. That will do you no good on this exam. All right, you should recognize this closing by now. We have our goal, so go practice, practice, practice. Focus on a few score sheets on flavor, and after that, we're going to move on to mouthfeel, and that's in our next lesson, so I'll see you there.